See him a beast when you hear that sound like yeah, beat on the beat when you hear that sound like woo. Yeah, bitch on the champ, only me one round like yeah, me, I'm a G-Rain.
Well, finally, making his UFC debut next week at UFC 282, undefeated South African fighter in front of me, or next to me, wherever I'm going to edit him right now, MSP Cameron Saaiman. Cameron, my man, thank you so much. First fight week, how you feeling?
It's absolutely amazing. I'm still pinching myself. You know, after the Contender Series, it's such a cool experience. Actually being back in Vegas is so much fun. Now I'm here with a little bit of a bigger team. You know, Drickers is here as well.
Mm-hmm.
One of our other teammates are here, and then my two coaches, Coach Mornay Visser and Henny Engelbracht. So we are having a great time. The weight is looking good. The vibes are here in Vegas, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome, man. And we'll get into your team, the whole South African squad that's going to roll up on next Saturday, December 10th. We'll get into all that. But beforehand, you just mentioned you're in Vegas. I know last time we talked was when you were in Vegas, too, for Dana White's Contender Series. You mentioned something. You said, you know, something I'm excited for about America is I want to try all your guys' food. I just can't because I'm weight cutting.
Yeah.
You've obviously tried our food since then. What do you think?
Obviously, I that was the first thing I did after the fight. We actually had a driver, and then we were under the impression they only take us to the hotel. And then he stopped at one of the traffic lights and was like, "Listen, my job is to take you wherever you want to go tonight." And I was like, "Sick, okay, that's great," because I had a long list of fast food joints I wanted to hit. But obviously the post-fight adrenaline dump also kicked in very quickly after I did the 40-minute session at the PI as well after the fight. So I was pretty pasted, but I managed to get in and out, which was awesome. That was sick. That was so nice. And then we actually got, what did we also get? Dunkin' Donuts. That was open as well. That was great. And then this time we'll hit the Wendy's, we'll hit the Raising Cane's, the White Castles, all of that. So I'm still looking forward to hitting all those spots. I'm actually happy I didn't do all of them at once because then it gives me something to look forward to.
So that's hilarious, man. You're coming and eating all of our like junk food, all of our like famous branded food, which is still, it's delicious. But there's some good, my favorite American food is like the small corner shops that, you know, you got to ask some locals like, yo, bro, where do I get the best wings around here? Where do I get the best cheesesteak if you're in Philly around here? So try that stuff. That's better. But In-N-Out, Raising Cane's, all that stuff, delicious.
A Philly cheesesteak sounds amazing. So if anyone has any recommendations in Vegas for that, I know you have to have it in Philly because it's actually a crime having it out of that, but that would still be awesome.
Well, I mean, I'm from Philly, and I'm sure Vegas could fake a good Philly cheesesteak. So if you know where to get a good Philly cheesesteak in Vegas, drop it in the comments so I can let Cameron know. So like I said, Cameron, we haven't spoken since Dana White Contender Series. You just said yourself, you kind of feel like you have to pinch yourself sometimes to feel like if this is reality or not. How has your life changed, man? Like, what does this feel like now that you're actually in Vegas for your first UFC fight week?
Actually, you know, my life hasn't changed a lot. I've set up my stuff before this fight so that I can train every single day, so I can do this as a full-time job. So this is my main priority and focus, and nothing has shifted. I think the opportunities to, you know, train at the PI, do recovery sessions there, small stuff, you know, like stuff that we don't really have access to, like saunas and infrared chambers and cryotherapy and stuff like that, has been absolutely amazing to be able to use in the coming days before the fight. So the PI, I must say, is also just absolutely amazing. You know, Nicole and Charles, the dietitians that we've been working with there, picking their brains and actually learning from them has been absolutely awesome to do, and that's also a great asset. We also, at the end of the day, we're here to improve, and we're here to learn, and that's been a massive add-on. So I'm very fortunate to be able to be here, and also just meeting some of the other fighters that I look up to. It's been awesome.
Who have you met this week, or you know, since you've been at the UFC PI? Who have you met?
I saw Aljamain Sterling again, which was pretty cool. I met him. Dan Ige, which was great. Ilir Latifi, I actually managed to talk to him a little bit in the locker rooms, which was very, very cool. Ilya Topuria, I'm an absolute massive fan of him. His training schedule also overlaps with ours, so I saw him once or twice. I would actually like to officially meet him once he's not training, and I don't want to bother him. So guys like that it's been really cool to meet them and just be in their presence as well. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. There's some great guys you just mentioned right there. I mean, Vegas is loaded with fighters. Obviously, it's the headquarters for the UFC. Let me just ask you real quick, a little just factual question. How many fights are on your contract? Can you tell me that?
At this, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to.
We'll zip it. No worries.
If I'm allowed to, but yeah,
we know you got at least. We know you got at least one coming up. UFC 282. So Cameron, you spent your time training at Team CIT, yeah?
Yeah. That's the only gym I train.
Yeah. So how was I know that. I was just telling other people that. So Team CIT in South Africa, how was camp this time around? You're training for your first UFC fight, but then you're also sharing the card with teammate Dricus du Plessis. So how has the energy been in your gym, man? Is it buzzing now that you have two UFC fighters fighting on the same card?
Yeah, I think our team has had massive momentum this whole year. I think our guys outside of the UFC have been doing very well, and that adds just motivation to our training partners that are there to help us for basically what is the closing of the year. I think Dricus and our fights are the last ones of the year, and then our whole team will actually take quite a big break and be back in it big break, I'm saying 2 weeks, and then we'll be back at it. And so I think the guys are super motivated to end off the year on a high and go into 2023 with a lot of momentum, which we already have. So that also motivates the guys, because I think we could show to our training partners that it's possible to get here if you put in the work, if you stay professional, if you really stay focused. So I think we do not want to lose that focus, and it's up to us to keep that standard.
So I mean, I love that, man. It sounds like your gym is just buzzing with energy, and the gyms I've been in where the bigger guys are training for a big fight, everybody else feeds off that energy. So great environment. So before we get into your fight, teammate Dricus has a fight against Darren Till. Pretty big fight, big name for him. I'm super excited for that fight. Let me just ask you, unbiasedly, how does this fight go down?
Unbiasedly, it's going to be quite impossible, but obviously I think Dricus finishes him within 2 rounds. I do not think Darren Till has what it takes to go to the distance. Darren Till has been openly speaking about not wanting to fight 5 rounds as well, and wanting to almost take a step back and settle in, which I think is the wrong mindset to have when you are fighting an absolute animal like Dricus. I think you could have seen in his Brad Tavares fight, people thought he was going to get tired after the first round, just because of his awkward style, and he just kept that insane pace for 3 rounds. I do think, and I've said it before, and I actually said it before Dricus fought Tavares, I said that I think Tavares is one of the toughest fights in the middleweight division, and I do think that if you can get past that it can become quite easier, toughness wise, to finish fights. And I do think Darren Till is under that umbrella. He's lost 4 of his last 5, and I think it's the perfect matchup for Dricus to really go showcase what he is all about. And if it's not happening in the first, it's for sure happening in the second. I don't see it going the third.
And I mean, in that Tavares fight, he literally got stronger as the fight went on. So gas tank, something I would be scared of if I was Till. But yeah, man, I love the matchup for Dricus. I know for a fact he's going to close as an underdog because Vegas has all this Darren Till hype. So going to cash on that a little bit, my friend.
I'm not allowed to bet anymore, but I'm pretty sure my friends will be making some cash as well.
Dana White said you guys can't bet anymore. That's a shame, but doesn't matter. Plenty of people will cash. So yeah, I'm sure you've been asked this question many of times the past couple weeks, couple months. I think I even asked you it on Dana White's Contender Series, but I want to ask you again now because I think it's important, and I want to know if your answer changed at all because now you're here. What does it mean, dude? I asked you before, what would it mean to represent South Africa in the UFC? Now I'm asking you, what does it mean that you're going to represent South Africa in the UFC?
It's an absolute honor. You know, it's really, rugby is like the biggest sports in our country. And if you watch the Springboks play against anyone internationally, you can really see the love and support that the South African fans have for our team.
Yeah.
And I've really been feeling the love coming into this fight. You know, we get so many messages of support, just people that I have absolutely no idea where they come from, what they're doing. But it's been absolutely amazing to have these guys in our corner, and it just adds motivation to really put on a performance. You know, we are not only representing our team, not only am I representing myself, but now I have a country's backing, and with that I can really go out there and just leave it all out there. And yeah, I really predict I'm going to come away with a finish, and come December 10th, it's going to be my hand that's going to be raised.
So you just pointed out how loyal your South African fans are, even just your fans in general. But that's something I wrote down here in my questions for you. Your fans, man, extremely, extremely loyal. Anything I post about you, whether it's your interview or a picture of you and Drickus, it gets so much love. So many of your fans commenting with the South African flag and a heart. I do have a question though, because I'm a very uncultured American, farm boy. What language do you guys speak in South Africa other than English? Because people are commenting on my posts and I have no idea what they're saying.
Okay, yeah. So we actually speak Afrikaans. That's our home language.
Okay.
So Afrikaans is like a Dutch dialect. Which, so if we speak to Dutch, even like certain German words we'll pick up on. But yeah, it's basically a mixture between French, Dutch, and German. And yeah, it's the greatest language on earth. It's sweet.
I actually think I asked you that before. Now you said that, and that rings a bell. I think you actually already told me that before. But point being, very loyal fans. They always flood my pages when I post your stuff. I'm sure they'll be on this one too. So that's got to be awesome to have behind you. Dana said 2023, 2024, UFC is going to Africa.
Yeah,
you got to be on that card, man. But
for sure.
How do you feel about a potential UFC Africa card? Like, who would you want to see on that card? Where would you want to see it go down?
I think it would be absolute criminal if it's not in South Africa. I think infrastructure-wise, we are the best country in Africa to actually host that event. I do think that it's really the best place to do it. We have millions of tourists visiting South Africa every single year. So it just makes sense to have everything set up for South Africa. Whether you're going to do it, I know like Boss Dana is not a massive fan of massive arenas.
Sure.
So doing a 11, 12,000 stadium would be much better. And we actually have that in Pretoria, in our hometown. That's literally where we train from. We have the Sun Arena there in Pretoria. It's literally 3 minutes from where I grew up. So I think that is the perfect place to host an event. I think it's super safe. It's in quite a family-orientated neighborhood, which is also quite weird. But that would be absolutely amazing. And I have no doubts in my mind that I'll be on that card, whether it is to open up a prelim, open up a main, whatever the case may be. I know for a fact I'll be on that card. And I do think, if I have to predict, I do think that Drickus will be fighting for a title by then. And I do think if they can do that in South Africa, I've seen Drickus sell out the same Sun Arena for the UFC, which is our local promotion. There's no doubt in my mind that we'll be able to sell out that arena very easily and quite quickly as well.
Bro, I think no matter where you put a UFC Africa card, it's going to sell out. That's going to be such a highly anticipated card. I can't wait for that someday. Like, I just remember the buzz behind UFC London, UFC Paris. Like, anytime you go to a country for the first time, it's awesome. But Africa, the amount of talented fighters, whoo!
Yeah. And just like, we have so many guys that can represent the whole of Africa, like Sadiq Yusuf, who is absolutely explosive. Not to mention even the Kamaru Usman, Israel Adesanya, Francis Ngannou, all the African fighters. But there are some they are really a talent pool rich guys. So just out of fight card perspective, I'm super excited to see what they do. Like maybe do an Africa versus Europe or Africa versus the States, having a few of the Americans fly in and maybe beat some of the Africans on home soil. That would be sick as well. So that'll be very cool to see.
I hope Dana's listening, man, because this is going to be awesome whenever that goes down. Now, Cameron, obviously, you have a big fight next weekend. Let's talk about you now and your fight. Some drama with your opponents. You know, you're scheduled to fight Ronnie Lawrence. He pulls out, which personally I was bummed about because that was going to be a great, exciting fight. But anyways, Steven Kozlow steps up. You're facing him on short notice. Has the short notice change affected you at all, or business as usual? Doesn't matter who your opponent is. You're only worried about yourself.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know this, but before the Kozlow matchup, there was talks about someone else as well, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention that. So there has been a few shifts in opponents. You know, obviously most of my camp I was preparing for Ronnie Lawrence, and I must say that when we prepare, we do not have a specific game plan going into the fight, knowing that stuff like this can happen where your opponents change, so you need to be able to be ready everywhere. And I think that is also a healthy approach to you know, especially where I am now. If it gets very specific, like going into the top 10, then we'll have a very narrow game plan. But for now, it's all about getting that experience. It's about getting the cage feel, and obviously just enjoying it. So I've been enjoying this whole process. I've enjoying the preparation for this fight, and no matter who they put in front of me, I'm going to be looking for the finish. So Steven Kozlow is an absolutely amazing opponent for me. I have a lot of respect for him. Obviously he has amazing ground game, and it's a great matchup. I'm happy for him that he got the opportunity. I saw a tweet of him saying like, we're in the UFC, mama, we made it. So that's also cool to see. But come 10 December, we are going to be locked in there, and I'm going to be looking to come out with the win.
So I just got to pull an Ariel Helwani real quick and ask, you can't mention who you're supposed to fight before, possibly? Because, you know, you're supposed to fight him. It's not happening. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. As far as I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to. It would have been Saaiman Oliveira, a Brazilian who already has one fight.
Dana White's Contender Series 2, I believe, right?
Yes, yeah, he won via split decision. He lost via unanimous decision. And I think it was just too short notice. I think there were maybe visa issues, him coming from Brazil. So it was Ronnie, and then it was Saaiman Oliveira, and then we weren't sure. And then we actually didn't hear anything for quite a while. But all my preparation was done. And even let's say I landed in Vegas, and they said, listen, we don't have a fight. My plan was to still make weight. So I was still planning to make weight. Maybe someone pulls out. You never know what happens. So it's just a thing of you need to always be ready. And I'm always ready to go. So but I'm lucky, and I'm very fortunate to have a name and someone that I can now go study, and someone we can really focus on for now. And now it's just about making weights and having fun.
Champion mentality right there, man. And I'm just happy they got you an opponent, because that's got to be stressful. Let me ask you a question. Do you watch Star Wars? Are you a Star Wars guy?
Yeah, well, I've watched Star Wars. I'm not a massive Star Wars fan, but I know the lingo.
Yeah,
more or less.
I asked because have you heard of Steven Koslow's nickname?
Yeah, it's longer.
Obi-Wan. Hold on. It's Obi-Wan Shinobi the Pillow. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, Bruce Buffer is gonna have an absolute terrible time with that one. Yeah. It's just kind of confusing, but I've seen some of the comments as well on his nickname. Like I didn't know you're allowed to have like multiple words. That's why we cut ours down to MSP.
Yeah.
That's quite short and sweet. But yeah, it's very cool to see him be creative in that space. And at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure he didn't pick that himself.
No, right.
I think someone gave that to him. So.
I read that he like puts people to sleep with chokes. They call him the Pillow, and then something about Obi-Wan Kenobi. They mixed it all up. Whatever. Okay. I think it's funny. But you know, he's 6-0, obviously a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. How do you think you two match up stylistically? I'm not going to ask you to give me a prediction per se, but how do you see the fight going down?
Every round is going to start standing. And I must say, like, I'm not threatened by his ground game. I have absolute amazing grappling coach, Neil Geyser, who is an absolute beast. We grapple with Drickus every single day. We have absolute savages at our gym. So it's just a thing of how do we want to finish? This is my debut. This is on a numbered card. I'm looking to have a staggered performance. And I want people to realize that even though I look like I have a baby face, that I deserve to be in the bantamweight division. And I'm looking to climb the top. So come what may, if it's on the ground, that would obviously be sick. You know, Joshua Kim was known for his stand-up and we knocked him out. If I can choke out Stephen Kozler, that would be the ideal. But I'm pretty open-minded. Like I said, I train for everything, for everywhere. I'm ready on all aspects of the game. So come what may. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be a finish.
Love it, dude. Love the confidence. I love that you want to take his game and make it yours. Something that during your Contender Series fight, during the research, I saw a lot of your striking in your tape. But Joshua Kim, I saw a lot of his grappling from the gym, and I just know he's a very experienced fighter. So I was like, I think if this hits the ground, Josh might have an advantage. You, in that fight, rolled over Josh no matter really where it went. On the ground, you out-wrestled him. On the feet, obviously, you knocked him out. So to see you wrestling at that level in a Contender Series fight, extreme confidence going into a UFC fight. I don't think he has that crazy a grappling advantage over you.
Yeah, man, I wish you were a commentator on the Contender Series because their commentating was quite biased. But I'm happy that you guys see it because that means the other guys see that as well. I've never had the chance to really showcase my grappling, and maybe it gets some light in this fight, maybe it doesn't. But like I said, it's just we prepare on every aspect. And I also, as a small kid, when I just started MMA, I went through just like a grappling heavy phase, just because I'm so interested in that aspect of the game. So I really think that experience and that time and that focus from almost 10 years is going to showcase in the fight. And like I said, just ready everywhere.
And you just mentioned your baby face. First of all, it's not that bad a baby face, but you take that shirt off, bro, you're a tank under there. So don't let it fool you, dude. You're a strong guy. I'm gonna grapple heavy. So Cameron, this fight goes down at a sold-out T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. Your first UFC appearance on Contender Series was at the Apex Center. You fought for is it EFC? Yeah, in South Africa, plenty, which you've seen, you said sold out arenas, but nothing quite as big as T-Mobile Arena. What are your thoughts going into this fight? Are you excited for such a crazy, loud, wild atmosphere? Are you a little bit nervous? How do you feel about that?
I must say, actually not nervous at all. When I made my professional debut, Drickus was fighting, he was fighting for a middleweight title in the UFC. And that was a sold out arena of like 8,000 people. And doing that on your professional debut at 18 was quite intense. But I must say, I'm not really fazed about the amount of people that will be there. It's always been actually quite thrilling to have that, like before the Contender Series fight, even though there were like 200 people, having those butterflies just before the walkout was awesome, because it still just shows how much the sport and my job means to me. And I know for a fact that that's going to happen again. And just walking out, there might be, it's going to be early, so it might not be full, but there's still going to be a few thousand people there. And I'm looking forward to just taking it all in, taking in the fans, the lights, the sounds, everything, and just going out there, being in the cage, being tunnel vision, focusing on my opponent, focusing on what my corner is telling me, and going out there and just making the best of the opportunity.
So, I mean, you're going to be in front of that T-Mobile crowd. You're going to be making your UFC debut. You're sharing the card with your teammate, and you're going to have your team behind you. I mean, there's so many crazy, big, exciting things going down for you next weekend on Saturday night. Let me just ask you, can you actually pinpoint or verbalize something you are most excited for about that night?
I'm most excited for. So after the Contender Series fight, we had this moment in my coach's hotel room, and we were sitting there. It was dead quiet. Everyone was eating their In-N-Out burgers, and it was just like this feeling of, with travel, with training camp, weight cut, everything just coming to a close and actually just enjoying each other's company. I know for a fact that after this fight, we're going to be on our high horses. But just coming together as a team again after the fights and just say, like talking about what we just achieved. I think that's why I have so much respect for every single person that gets into the cage, because not everyone sees what we go through before that. So I'm really looking forward to that, just enjoying each other's company after the fight and really just savoring the whole moment after the craziness of going out there and throwing down. So yeah.
That's a beautiful answer, man. I'm glad you guys have that connection as a team. So what's next, man, after this fight? Obviously you don't want to look past too much, but assuming everything goes well, assuming you're healthy, any idea when you want to fight again? Any idea who you'd like to fight next? I mean, the holidays are coming up, your birthday is coming up, you'd like to take some time off, but when do you want to get back in there? Who do you want it to be against, if anyone?
So my plan is to be back training full schedule at the 26th of December, just after Christmas. So I'll be ready by February. And the Perth card is very appealing to me. This is the first time I've really been speaking about this, but I've talked to my team. Being in Perth would be absolutely amazing. I don't know how realistic that is, but like I said, I'll always be ready. So if they have an opportunity, a gap, I'll take it with both arms. After that, it's really, there's no opponents in mind. It's just more focusing on what events I would like to fight at and where it will be beneficial, not only for myself, but for my team as well. Traveling takes a big toll on my team as well. So just keeping that in mind. But that Perth card is super appealing. Other than that, even April, if it's even that long. But I would like to fight 3 times next year. And I think we can do that.
Looking forward to a busy 2023 from Team CIT. So, obviously your end goal is to be champion. I feel like that's a lot of people's end goal, but I know you've told me that before. You want to be the champion of the world.
Yeah.
How long do you think it's going to take, or I guess how long would you like it to take for you to get up there and fight those top bantamweights? And, what age do you think you're going to be champion by?
So this is an interesting one, because when I made my pro debut, we always had like this type of timeline of when I would get into the UFC. So I've made my professional debut at 18. After that, we got hit by COVID for like a year and a half, almost 2 years. We couldn't compete. And then in the time span of this year, I had a #1 contender fight. I fought for an UFC world title. I got a Dana White Contender Series fight, and I made my my debut in the UFC in 1 year. That's a pretty successful year, I would think. So it's the time span is just super hard to really predict, but I do predict within the next 2 years we'll be fighting for a world title, and I do believe that my hand will be raised. Just looking at those bouts at the PI, it adds motivation to that goal, and yeah, I'll give it 2 years.
A little Sugar Sean as the champion and Cameron Saaiman coming in to take the title. Would love that.
That would be great. And there's actually some footage of us. I greeted him just after the Contender Series fight. So it was really cool to see him. It was so awkward because I was like, man, massive fan, Sugar. And then I realized, but you're my weight, so I don't know how to react to this whole thing. But yeah, so that was quite weird for me.
Well, he seems like a cool guy, even if you're fighting somebody, he'd be nice and cordial. But
for sure,
that'd be a fight I want to see. Cameron, before we get out of here, man, UFC 282, possibly card of the year, last pay-per-view of the year. You're going to have a lot of eyes on you in this fight. You already have a bunch of fans and supporters. You have all your family and your friends and your whole camp. Just want to give you the opportunity. Is there anything you'd like to say to everybody? The mic is yours.
Yeah, I would just like to thank every single fan, not only fans of myself, but fans of the sport. it's really cool to see the sport growing at the rapid rate that it is. So thank you guys, and make sure to tune in for UFC 282 December 10th. For my South African fans at home, it's going to be the December 11th, the morning of the 11th. So julle beter vroeg opstaan, julle gaan dit geniet en drink 'n Buffelsfontein brandewyn met boerkoule op my. Ja, ek sien uit vir dit. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much for this opportunity to chat to you again.
Of course, brother. Thank you. You're the fighter. You're the one with the busy schedule. I got to work around you, so I appreciate you giving me the time. But ladies and gentlemen, I will link Cameron's social media info below, or below his name somewhere on the screen. Go shoot him a follow, and like Cameron said, do not miss it. Next weekend, December 10th, UFC 282. Cameron MSP. Saaiman makes his UFC debut. Gonna get that W. And when I say this, Cameron, you know I freaking mean it. Kick ass, dude. And let's do it again.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And we'll for sure do this again. Whenever you're in South Africa, I have a pull-out couch in my house. There's a spare bedroom as well. Maybe you must make it a trip. If it's UFC Africa in Pretoria, you're more than welcome to come crash at my house. So
say less, bro. Say less, bro. And likewise, if you want to get that cheesesteak, you let me know. There's plenty of space here over in Philly.
Oof, maybe I come just after the fights. No, I pitch up at your house.
Let me know, dude. I got a room and everything.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, man.